Welcome back to District Disruptors Podcast. I'm Violet.
I'm Jamie.
I'm Randa.
And Natalie.
On this episode, we are going to talk about being empowered, informed, and prepared. All right, ladies.
This is an important one.
Yes,
this is
empowerment.
This is we're laying the path and the pavement for advocacy. How it all starts, things to look for.
Yeah, and
So
it is.
say you don't have to right off the bat. You do not have to have an advocate right off the bat. You can take some baby steps yourself.
Well, we're hoping that the goal of this is that you're not going to have an advocate. You're going to be able to do it all on your own, right?
Yes.
Eventually.
Yeah. But it's going to take time, and you're going to be afraid,
Intimidated,
nervous,
overwhelmed,
and honestly
and scared to question the staff.
Mm-hmm. And you're going to have a gut feeling like you don't want anything to be wrong with your child, right? I think that's the biggest thing. Like almost it's okay. Like there's going to be somewhat of almost a denial, but you just have this gut feeling that just something's not right, but you just cannot put your finger on what it is. Like just something's not clicking with them. Something's not right. Whether I know for me, it was simple as like sight words. Like in kindergarten, like we would do the sight words at night. He would know them, and then 30 seconds later, I would show him the exact same sight words, and he was staring at them like he had never seen them before.
And with me, my kid got all his sight words within a couple months of kindergarten. TK, and he was just flying out of the woodworks. But could he like enunciate all the way through it? It's called memorization. With autism, it's memorizing, and you got it down. So that's what you have to also learn is it's not just about sight words when your kid is in TK and kindergarten. You have to look beyond that.
Beyond that, 100%. Yeah. So let's say like first thing, you have a gut feeling, right? And I will say kindergarten, and Natalie, you can probably talk about kindergarten. Like
it is a tough year. It is a tough year, but as a kindergarten teacher, it's really important that I definitely listen to the parents and take into consideration their concerns. And obviously, if a parent's going to approach me and say they have concerns, I'm probably going to be seeing similar things. And but the most important thing is for me to tell them, again, let's take this journey together, be supportive, be informed, and be empowered that if you're ready to take that step and ask for services, then you certainly have the right to do that. That's what I like to do. Let the parents know that they are in the driving seat.
Absolutely.
Natalie, we need more teachers like you, because that's not what I was told. I was told, let's move TK.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So
no.
I had wonderful TK and kinder teachers. I think it's as kids, learn how to read and read to learn.
Yeah.
When that transition happens in third grade, that's when you really start to see the struggles with your children.
Yeah.
But I will say that that's too late. Yes. And that's why we really got to catch it.
Too late.
We got to catch it earlier.
Kindergarten.
And so it's super hard.
It is hard. And I think that you have to take into consideration other things. Is there learning disabilities in your family? Are you reflecting back and you're like, school wasn't easy for me.
Yeah.
School was a challenge for me. I was in special ed. So that kind of gave me, I was hyper aware. And having my nieces and stuff that had autism, like I was very hyper aware of wanted to catch the learning disabilities early because it wasn't caught for me until much later. Yeah. And it was a struggle to get caught up. And I didn't want my children to go through the same thing. So first thing, write a letter, an email to your teacher, right? That's the first thing. Like have a conversation with your teacher if you can and express what you are concerned about. Whether it be the sight words or social problems. Are you getting phone calls all the time? Because
to pick up your child because you're having a behavior
issue. Especially with our littles. Like, are they having a difficult time potty training? Like, there's a lot of different things.
Sensory
issues.
After that conversation, follow that conversation. If you feel better having a one-to-one conversation with a teacher, follow up and say, I had a great conversation with you today in an email. I had a great conversation with you today about this with my child so that everything is in writing. And as a teacher, me personally, I appreciate you doing that because I know what you are up against trying to get services for your child, and it will really help you to do that. So don't be afraid to follow up with the email saying, I had a great convo with you today.
Right. And the reasons why we are suggesting emailing right off the bat is you're creating a paper trail for your own child. So you want to create your own data, and that is your data trail just to prove, okay, let's see, is my child going to start progressing? Or are they regressing? Or are they just staying stagnant, right?
Well, and it's also, I'm going to be honest, the first thing the principal's going to ask you is what? Did you talk to the teacher?
Yeah.
And the
There you
teacher
go.
could always say no.
Yeah.
So just depending. So they're always going to ask you. And then if you go to the district's going to ask you the same thing.
What
Did you
steps
talk
did
to
you
the
take?
administrator? Did you talk to the teacher?
You have to start
So
with the teacher.
You do not feel bad about just sending an email, even if you have a verbal conversation saying, I had a great conversation with you today about my concerns about my child, and state what those are so
And
that
so-
you have that data.
And another thing too, when you're, obviously, yes, the teacher is the first person that we address. But if you in that situation are being told, let's just wait and see, it's only been first quarter, whatever it is, don't just wait
I'm
and
shaking
see.
my head because I agree. Yes.
Don't wait and see.
Yeah, because they want to go through these steps. So some school districts go through steps, right? It's
Yeah.
like tier 1 MTSS. So,
Mm.
and that is like a process that school districts like to do prior to assessing your child because they want to see, can we catch up your child before we put them on an IEP, which is probably beneficial to some students, right?
Yeah.
But if a child has a diagnosis, that's not going to fix the problem. We need to
No.
get these kids assessed and appropriately qualified for services.
And I can say as a teacher, unfortunately, and I'm just going to be very vulnerable, I'm going to have to admit that I said that and I feel kind of sad, well, let's see how they do with this first run of intervention because it's what I thought I was supposed to say, right? I'm going to say that.
And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I
Yeah.
think that it's every single student is different. And there are students where they can have that first run of really targeted tiered intervention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that helps them get over the little hurdle. But then you have students that's not going to make a difference.
Yeah.
So I think that the thing is you don't want to be sucked into this, let's keep trying intervention. I'm all for trying, and I did it even with my son, to let's try the intervention. It didn't work.
6 weeks. It should be
Yeah.
6 weeks.
It
no
didn't
more than
work. So then the next step is don't do another 6 weeks because that just adds time. It's like a clock, and you have this short, sweet little window of where the early intervention truly helps.
Right.
And so I think that it is important to just follow your kids' cues, kind of your child's
Yeah.
cues,
Yeah.
right? And just see. And you, like I said previously, if there's learning disabilities or there's struggles within your family, more than likely your student has it because they're hereditary.
Right.
So that's
But sometimes
needs to be
you-
an indicator
you don't
too.
know.
And if you don't know, 100%.
Yeah, you don't know. And so I just want to clarify, like the whole wait and see is not like she mentioned, giving that time, because sometimes kids do need that waiting time to see, if tier 1 is going to function, if it's going to help. But if you're just being kept told, wait and see, wait and see, wait and see, and wait and see, which was my case. That's why I bring it up, because it upsets me
Yes.
when I hear the first thing, when talking to other parents and they say, oh, well, just wait and see. That
Yeah.
was not very
and there's
beneficial for my kid.
There's nothing wrong. I think you're trying to get to this. There's also nothing wrong with if you as a parent don't want to wait the 6 weeks.
Yeah.
There is absolutely nothing
Yeah,
wrong.
just
So I-
send the email and
asking
request for
for
an assessment. And so, but this process also, what I was told was I have to wait 2 years because they were just assessed. And so there's this miscommunication, I think, that is there a 2-year wait to get your kid assessed? From my understanding is like, if there is a concern, of a disability, you can request it at any time.
Are you talking about getting them assessed for an IEP?
Yes.
And then waiting 2 years?
For a specific learning disability. So let's say my son,
You would
for
ask for an
instance,
IEE.
for an IE,
Right.
but see, so just an example, my son has an IEP for speech delay, right?
Mhm.
And they had just been assessed for that. He qualified for that. And then a year later, I'm like, well, I think you might have a learning disability. I think there might be something else. Well, you just requested an assessment. So you have to wait now 2 years
No,
to be
that's not
reassessed.
accurate.
And so that's what I was told early
Yeah.
on.
Mhm.
And so if you're being told that, because I even talked to
Yeah.
other teachers that have said,
Yeah.
well, you have to wait 2 years.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So, and I think that we'll
I know
probably
that-
talk into that a little
Yeah.
bit more
Yeah.
regarding that, but that's the wait and see. Like
So let's
talk about the
take a
informed.
step back. What should the email say?
Okay. So a very simple, plain verbiage email that you would send is first, you would send it, the email is going to be addressed to the teacher. You are going to copy the principal. And when you do that, you're going to say, Dear Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so, my son or daughter, and write down their names in the email and say, I would like to assess my child in all areas of suspected disabilities. Please provide me an assessment plan within 15 days of my request. So, and then you can. So what I've done in the past is within that email, I would write down 3 to 4 reasons why I think my child should be assessed.
Mm-hmm.
They're struggling in this area of math. They're struggling in this area of ELA.
Mm-hmm.
Socially, they're struggling in this
Mhm.
area, just so they have an idea of what you're looking for,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
When you send that email, from that moment, they have a 15-day timeline of presenting you the assessment plan, right?
Mhm.
You sign that assessment plan. As soon as you sign that assessment plan, they have 60 days to assess your child and conduct an IEP meeting. This does not mean at the end of the 60 days, your child is going to have an IEP.
Mm-hmm.
This is to present to you all the data and the assessments that they did on your child to see if they qualify for an IEP.
And Rihanna, can you just say what that little verbiage that you just gave, because it's a real simple couple of sentences,
Right.
that is based on what?
Well, that's based on my experience, and it's very simple verbiage that I've received from advocates and attorneys.
Yeah, it's
very
based on,
simple.
it's based on the law that you can request
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And there's
100%.
also, just like you explained the verbiage and how to write it, there's also templates online
Mhm.
Yes.
that you can Google.
Yeah,
and
you
it gives
can
a little bit more
easily
specific.
Right. You can easily Google it. You can either go on this website called www.rightslaw.com.
Oh, yes, definitely.
There
check
is
that
a ton of
website.
Rights with
information.
an
Oh my
R
gosh.
or a
So
W.
It is such a good.
So it's WRIGHTSLAW. So rightslaw.com. It is a ton of information. You're going to get overwhelmed on that site,
Mhm.
but there are search buttons. Just look for what you're looking for and it'll get you there.
It is a great resource.
Mhm.
Definitely is.
Yeah.
So that's the first step.
Correct.
All right.
And then there's a waiting time.
And then there's the waiting time, the anxious waiting time. And your child will be, for the assessment, it's in depth.
Yeah.
And it depends on what kind of, if it's a OT, psychoeducational, speech, behavioral.
It could be PT, it could be physical
PT.
therapy.
So it could be very extensive where for your child is getting taken out of class
Mhm.
for days for little short stints, not days, but it's
Right.
over a lot of days
Mhm.
for the assessments to be taking place
And
with
so
the school psychologist
Yeah.
or occupational therapist.
I've done it where I've written on the assessment plan, you can only take my child, and it's up to you, depending on what you feel your child can sit.
Mhm.
But for what I've done is you can have my child for an hour at a time to assess, because that's overwhelming
Yeah,
for
it
the
is.
child,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then I also write in there, please provide me your assessment reports at least 5 days ahead of the IEP. It does not mean they legally have to give it to you, but it's a good way to collaborate together.
Mm-hmm.
And to also be an equal member of the team, right? Like
Absolutely.
I feel that they all have this access to the reports. They know what they're going to present, but we're just sitting there being like, this is the first time that I'm seeing this. And when you're sitting in the IEP and you don't have access to that report, you're processing. There's a lot of terms on there. There's a lot of
Well, not only that,
things
it's like a 40, 50 page document.
And so you're trying to process like what's going on. So when you have that report ahead of time, you get to read it. You get to learn. You write down your questions. Can you please clarify this? Can you? What does that mean? You know. So it's really, really helpful, and I'm always very thankful when our service providers do provide those reports, because it makes me feel that I am part of the team and I am an equal member, and I get to participate and also be part of those decisions.
So when you have the IEP meeting, just know when they respond to you with the date and time of when they want to set up the IEP meeting, just know you do not have to agree on that date and time. If that does not work with your schedule, just know you are an equal participant to the meeting. If that date and time does not work, what you can do is send an email to whoever gave you the date and time, which is usually like a case carrier or the speech teacher. You're going to respond to that email and CC the teacher and the principal and say, unfortunately, this date and time does not work for me. Here are 3 dates and times that I'm available to meet. And they typically work with you to accommodate that time, or else you guys are going to work with other dates and times that works for both of you. So please know you do not have to go to a meeting on their date and time if it does not work for you.
Yeah. And then once you get into the meeting, there will be it's a team decision, and everyone that anybody that did an assessment will be present.
So who's typically in an IEP?
The teacher. So your student's teacher will be there, and then a school psychologist will usually always be there. And then if you did a speech evaluation, the speech pathologist will be there. If you did OT, occupational therapist will be there. If you did,
administrator will be there.
An administrator will always be there.
Take notes.
And then yourself, and if you bring an advocate or your partner with you, or
anybody
else, a friend, you're
just
able to bring anybody in there too to take notes. But so it's an overwhelming setting, but just know that it is a complete team decision. It's a very fluid discussion when you're going over all of the reports, and that not one person can unilaterally make a decision for your child. That it's a discussion amongst everyone.
And with that said, I have to say to educators out there, it's really important. I really didn't understand my role, even I think as an IEP team member, until I met you ladies and became part of the CAC board. That again, I am just as much of a participant as their teacher as the school psychologist was. A lot of times, I would just kind of shrink into my seat, feel really nervous, might worry about what my teammates might think about my suggestions for the student. Really, I was typically leaning more towards the parent and obviously the student, because I'm the teacher. I might even be seeing something completely different than what they're seeing in the reports. That does happen a lot of times. But I've really learned to find my voice and find my strength, that I am an equal member of that IEP team as a teacher. I think that's really important, because a lot of teachers are going in feeling intimidated.
And you go into the room, especially your first time, it's overwhelming. It's scary. And I've said previously, I'm a people pleaser. So it's hard for me to really want to fight and stand up and demand things, because I feel like who am I? Right? I'm all these professionals that do this all the time as their profession. But who am I to question them? But you need to realize that you are your child's first advocate
and
expert on them, and that it is your job to question them. There's nothing wrong with questioning them. And they're not going to retaliate against you. Like they've
It is their
question that, Jamie.
Well, maybe not you. Maybe that has not been your experience.
They're not supposed to. They're there. They've heard worse, right? They've had worse. Let's just put it that way, right? They're used to meeting with attorneys and advocates and they're used to having people ask and request for things.
Right.
But
So-
I do think that they try to I do think in the setting, even being a teacher or being in the parent seat, that there is a little bit of an attempt to, I think, Violet, you mentioned this earlier, like gaslight a little bit and make you feel that intimidation or like maybe what you're thinking is not correct.
Dismiss you.
And make you feel dismissed or less than. But I like the point that Jamie's saying, don't let that happen because they're used to being in rooms with very strong attorneys.
And it's easier said
admin.
and done, though, not to let
100%.
them, because
Yes,
again, how
I
she
agree.
mentioned being
Yes,
like a
it
people
is.
pleaser, and you're trusting that they are the experts, right? Like they know what they're talking about. And
they have your kids' best interest in mind.
And you trust them fully. And from my experience in the beginning, I was like, well, they're the teachers. They went to school for this. They know.
Mhm.
But then I kept thinking like, there's something going on. I know
And really,
there is.
not all teachers know. I'm telling you
No.
right now,
And
we
so-
don't.
No,
Um,
and they miss
and plus-
things, and they miss things. They're
And we're human. We're all human.
And they have
you know what?
35 kids in the classroom.
And I have to
it's
tell
hard
you
to
that
pinpoint.
the IEP meetings that I've been in, specifically one teacher is coming to mind. She was very honest and said, I don't know everything. I don't know, but I want to learn.
Mhm.
And
I
that to
appreciate
me
that. Yeah.
meant everything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was I'm like, I respect you, because guess what? I don't know everything either. I drop the ball sometimes. And for somebody to be vulnerable and to be really say, hey, I don't know how to help your son. I don't know this. But I want to learn and let's work together. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's
Let's do it.
100%.
We are a team.
Yeah.
And those are the people that I admire, I respect. And I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
See, we
for
need to
saying
change
that.
the language to
And
that.
I've come across teachers that have said, that's not my job. I'm not a SPED teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, but you are a teacher.
And it's
And it's really
general ed
heartbreaking.
students
Yes.
at first.
And it's really,
And my first time, so my son, as I said, he was in regional center, right? So he came into the school district on an IEP for speech, though.
Mhm.
But then kindergarten, I started, once again, he was in dual immersion. He was learning Spanish, right? And we're an English only speaking household. So I talked to the kinder teacher and she's like, oh, you just need to give it time. You're English only. And I was thinking, it shouldn't matter if the sight word is uno or one, like he's not getting it, right? But okay, I'll give it time. I gave it time. Go into first grade, parent teacher conference, and I requested for an IEP meeting and assessment testing. And during that, they said, well, it's hard because he's in a dual immersion, and I think that you need to wait. It's too early to test him. He's not 2 years behind. The 2 years
the
behind.
2 years rule.
So that was in October, late October. Well, over Christmas break, I went and I was just Googling everything, like what could it be? And I came up with visual processing disorder.
Mhm.
So I take him to our family eye doctor and I was like, hey, do you know anything about visual processing disorder? Like I had never even heard of it before. And he said, well, I can kind of check and see, he said, but I'm not like an expert in it. So he said, yeah, his eyes are not working together. So he referred me to an ophthalmologist specialist that specializes in neurovision for vision therapy and stuff. And so I paid out of pocket a full assessment, vision assessment and everything. And they came up with all these issues, his eye muscle problems and possibly even dyslexia and other things. And so come January, as soon as we get back to school, I email him with the assessment, ask for another IEP. We have it. And all of a sudden then the same psychologist said, oh, we can test him now for everything. And so
That's disappointing.
That's the part that I struggle with the most is that I wish I would have known what I know now, right? Where I would have said in that October meeting, no, I'm not going to let him get 2 years behind. And I guess I secretly did because I just went off and did it myself, right? But I'm able to pay for the assessment and stuff like that, where other families are not, and they don't know how to. And so that's why I all of a sudden became really passionate about this even more, is like, I'm not going to let another mom or family member go through this and be told they're not 2 years behind.
Right. So, and just so the public is aware, you do not have to fund a vision assessment on your own. Jamie did do that on her own, but the district is obligated to test for vision impairment or vision for vision therapy. It is part of the SELPA to do that.
Yeah, because it's not a medical. Don't let them try to tell you it's medical, because it's something different. It's actually something where their eye muscles, it affects their learning. So anything that can affect your child's learning, the district needs to provide the assessment.
Right.
So like even sensory, like my youngest son, he has a lot of sensory problems. Well, OT, they need to provide like the headphones and the little fidgets and everything like that for sensory, because if he's feeling overloaded and shutting down and eloping from the classroom, that is affecting his education.
Right. And when my child was in elementary school, I literally had like a tub of all the sensory tools for him, not knowing that I could have had the district do it. But you know what I got instead? It takes us like months to order this. We're on back order. And of course, my son needed the stuff at the moment that we were talking about in the IEP. So I provided it. Because we're that type of parent, right?
100%.
We're going to do it.
Yeah.
We're going to make it happen. And we're going to
100%.
have it in the classroom for our child.
Because we want them to be regulated. We want them to learn.
Right.
You know? So we do what we
So we're
gotta
an equal
do.
participant. So
Yeah.
we did our part, right? But it shouldn't be on us. It should be on the district.
point is that it is there, and whether, you know, and I could say this as a teacher, I would agree. I've had times where I was like, forget it, I'm just gonna buy the blanket, I'm gonna buy the vest. I just don't have time to wait for this. But I can also say that we are working on that as CAC board members, that we make that process shorter and a little bit more seamless. I think there's still a lot to be desired in that, but the point is, you can absolutely ask for it. You do not have to provide it, and you do not have to wait 6 months. If they're taking that long, something is wrong. They need, and then another email needs to be sent out. That should not be tolerated. That's the point.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
One thing that we missed also. So let's say, for example, even before you start having an IEP meeting, or you're already knee deep in IEP meetings, you can audio record your meetings.
Oh, yeah.
So just so you know, if you want to audio
That is
record,
right.
you cannot video record. So that is against the law. You cannot video record. You can audio record, but it has to be a notification given to the district.
24
So you
hours.
need to send an email to the district at least 24 hours prior saying, I'm just letting you know I am audio recording the IEP meeting.
So, Randa, now that you're mentioning that, maybe also letting parents know about how important it is to read your procedural safeguards, because that information is in there as well. The recording, the audio recording.
So you're always handed
So-
procedural safeguards when you request an IEP meeting. And it's also presented to you at the IEP meeting. Typically, it's
And I feel like a lot of
Given.
parents don't read that.
well, and they
They'll just
offer
kind
so
of-
yeah.
They'll be
And
like,
it's
yeah,
so
they'll take it.
important to
Well, the
read
district
it.
will ask, be like, do you need me to explain anything? And it's
Yeah.
overwhelming because
It
it's like
is
14
overwhelming.
pages. And you're like, well, do I
It
really
is
want you to go over
overwhelming.
these 14 pages right now? No.
But I have to admit that I was that parent that didn't. I was just like, okay, glanced. I'm like, all right. And then my advocate, or actually, no, my attorney said, I need you to sit down, grab
And
your
read it.
procedural safeguards and read it and highlight stuff.
Yeah.
And whatever questions you have, we can
Make
That's a
discuss
good idea.
it.
If you
And
don't
I
do it
was
in that
like,
moment, make sure
what?
you do it.
And I
Yeah.
learned so much. I mean, obviously read it like 5 times.
And then
to
once
kind of process and understand it. But I was like, oh my gosh, I know this.
Yeah. And then once you read it, what I do, because I already know it just from the years of
All these
experience,
years,
right?
yeah.
So what I always say when I go into the IEP IEP meeting is I say, has anything been updated on the procedural safeguards? Because at the
Okay.
very bottom, it'll have like the update date. So I'll just
Oh,
always
yeah.
ask, has it been updated? If they say no, then I say, okay, no, I don't need an explanation.
And if you're like me, you throw it into AI and say, can you please give me a summary?
Yeah.
Bullet points, because
That's a
I'm
really
not going to
good-
read 14
That's
pages.
a good one. That's a good,
So-
good point. I was going to also just refer again to the giving them notice 24 hours. So what I do is on the NOM, the notice of meeting, where it tells you the time, day, who's going to attend. On the bottom where I sign, I just say, please know I will be audio recording this meeting. It's just so they know.
And just know too, then the district has that opportunity. They will be audio recording
Yes.
as well.
Mhm. Yep.
So,
Yep.
All right.
All right,
Well, I
ladies.
think that there's so much to unpack, but we have many more episodes that we can keep going to further detail.
Yeah.
We threw a lot of information out
yeah.
there.
How about just this? Like anything in life, just one step at a time.
Yes,
send the
Baby
email.
steps. One email at a time.
Send the email. Just request.
And
What's the verbiage of the email again?
So you're going to say, Dear Mr. So-and-so, please assess my child and name your child in all areas of suspected disabilities. Please provide me an assessment plan within 15 days.
Yep.
It's as
That's
simple
it.
as that.
Simple as
And I
that. And we'll
also-
get it started.
I think that we're just going to keep talking about being empowered, informed, and prepared. This is just a little snippet of like what we know.
Yep.
But this is definitely going to be a topic that we'll be bringing up, again and again, and talking about.
Yep.
Thank you for listening
thank
to the
you for
District
listening.
Disruptors.
Like, follow, and share.
Bye.
We appreciate it. Bye.
Bye.